this update, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. Instead of the usual talking head stuff, we're going to borrow a style that's been used in Zero Punctuation. Ben, total apologies, we won't do this again. Rooster Teeth, Steven Spielberg in Jurassic Park, and so many others, but especially Zero Punctuation. So guys, accept my apologies, but it's supposed to be a fun update, and this style just works beautifully. So, it's time for the update. So, it's time to meet Wart. Wart is a crafter, and with that name, he couldn't be anything but an Arthurian. As a matter of fact, he's the first Arthurian. So, it's time for him to build something. And Wart decides that he's going to walk over to a plot, and there's a house. Oh, come on. We've seen that before. We've seen that a lot, as a matter of fact, in these sorts of games. And there are issues with it. For example, Wart's sitting on his plot, and here comes a Viking. Well, what if Wart does that? Now, guys, I know that, is an exaggeration, and there are ways that we can avoid that. But again, it is just an exaggeration. Let's talk about what we really want to do here. So another problem with this sort of building system can be if all the houses look the same. You've seen that in other MMOs, haven't you? So, Wart had an idea. What if we didn't use that system? What if we used a system that was more based on, maybe Lego, or building blocks, or even, obviously, such very, very successful and amazing games as Minecraft? And what if we change that up a little bit? So instead of blocks, big blocks, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, instead there are cells. Not that kind of cell.
This kind.
One of the problems with a Minecraft style game could be if you leave your house unattended. What would happen next? Let's say at 3 a.m. Because this is an RVR game, we also can't have people digging up the terrain everywhere, digging mines everywhere. That really wouldn't work very well. But what we can do is we can create bubbles. What's a bubble? A bubble is a space within the world where you can find minerals and other items. It is its own world, so think of it as truly a separate zone. It is not instanced. Other people can join you inside it, but it is a separate space. That allows us to make very large bubbles, very small bubbles, and even gigantic bubbles in which the action, such as mining, will take place. One of these bubbles could be a gold mine. You and other members of your realm can go down and mine cooperatively. You can mine individually, of course, if no one else is there, but you can also mine in a group. And guess what? There'll be a benefit, a bonus, if you do. You might be thinking, wow, boy, what's going to happen when everyone decides to go mine at your world-famous gold mine? Well, fortunately, our gold mines are like real mines. You can't mine it out right away. It takes time and it takes a lot of effort. So you don't have to worry about being the first one to find it and the only one to exploit it. There's plenty to go around.
Yay.
There are other things besides mines. We also have stone quarries. We also have timber fields. And we also have a wonderful way to make bricks, very familiar to some. What does this add up to? It adds up that little Wart has his hands full with a lot of minerals, materials, and items. And all these are considered cells that are used in our building system. Now that Wart has all his materials, what is he going to do? Well, fortunately, there's a handy-dandy king who needs a castle built. So Wart goes over to the plot, uses all his materials. Again, think of materials as cells, as bricks, as blocks, to build the castle. Castle is built, the king comes over, the king pays him, the king is happy, and Wart is happy. But this is an RVR game, so what can happen? Oh, it's the Vikings! And they come in with torches. A little while later, castle is toast. Sad king. Sad Wart. But then Wart has an idea. They're called blueprints. And Wart, being the smart builder he is, had them made after he built the castle. Because that's how it works. You build something, you can then have blueprints made. And what's the advantage of a blueprint? Well, now when Wart has to rebuild that castle because of those mean and nasty Vikings, it gets done faster. What can Wart build besides castles? Frankly, almost everything. Now, the reason I'm not saying everything is because, frankly, there'll be something that somebody will come up with that you can't build. But you can build towers, you can build walls, you can build all sorts of things because it's up to you. By placing these cells on a plot, Wart can build just about anything he wants. He can build them from blueprints, either ones that he created, or even ones that he's received from other players, or even from the realm itself. It's up to Wart. If he wants to play freeform building, he can do it. If he wants to use blueprints, he can do it. As a matter of fact, you can even combine the two. Using these cells, which can be of all different types of materials, you can create some pretty interesting things.
Quack.
Right now, I bet there's a whole bunch of our Living Large tier buyers who might be, a little concerned. Actually, I think they're a little angry. Don't worry, Living Large owners. We thought about this even before the Kickstarter started. First, you'll have special materials that cannot be crafted, so your house can look unique. Plus, you'll have special items, once again, that can't be crafted, that you can put in your house. Also, you'll have plans to your house, so when those mean and nasty Vikings come in, you can have that house rebuilt. And even better, you don't have to be a crafter. As we promised you, we will work with you on the house, we will give you the plans, and we will give you a key that will allow you to have that house built for you without having to spend either time or money. We always keep our promises. And also, for those who are thinking that maybe now with those special items, people who have these houses might have an advantage, nope. We've kept our promises to the other people as well. No special advantages in that house. It is just a really unique looking house. Now it's time to talk about Tri-Realm and how this building system fits within the concept of a RVR focused game such as Camelot Unchained. Well, if you have houses, what do they tend to do? That's right, they burn. Now, you can decide as an RVR player to burn down the house of an opposing realm. It's fun, and it leaves a nice pile of ashes. But you may decide to do more. What if you want to salvage, essentially, the house? Well, that's where deconstruction comes in. Call on your crafter, bring them in, and they will help take that house apart bit by bit and look at what you get at the end of that deconstruction. Wart knows how to build walls. He can build this kind of wall, this kind of wall, even this kind of wall, but he can't build this wall. We are limiting height in what Wart or any other builder can do. We can't have people building structures infinitely tall. So yes, there will be a limit there. Wart needs to build something, but he doesn't have a plan for it. What else can he do? He had another idea. They're called prefabs. Prefabs are like a blueprint, but these prefabs can be built and shipped and moved and placed anywhere, and in RVR, they can be carried out by... Supply lines are important in RVR. You need them to get your materials, things like forges, things that the crafters need out to the front lines, or not even the front lines, out to other places in the world. Yes, your crafters can stay nice and safe within the city, but they can also take one of these caravans with the materials to where they're needed most. One fear that Wart has is what happens when he goes out and he finds structures everywhere. old structures, structures that look like they belong in other games. Fortunately, items will decay if they're not kept up. So people who build something and then quit the game, or who have built something and then after a long time quit the game, they will decay and their plot ownership will be turned over to the realm. Now, where do all these materials come from? They're spread out all over the world. Some are found in safe zones, because after all, everyone needs to start somewhere. But the further and further you go into the world, the better the materials, the minerals, everything that you want can be found. There is risk, but that's where all the best materials can be found, including exotic materials. Let's summarize the features of Camelot's Unchained building system. First, you have access to a lot of minerals and materials scattered all throughout the world. Some in safe zones, some, almost everything in the RVR areas, which, as I've said in other updates and on forums, accounts for almost the entire world. Second, crafters then can take these materials and minerals and turn them into cells. Third, using cells, you can build just about anything you want. Again, there are some height limitations. There's going to be some cost involved, of course, whether it's from the crafters who are selling these materials, or even the crafter themselves who are making and gathering these materials. Cost has to be injected into the system, otherwise the world would quickly be filled with incredible structures and really wouldn't be an RVR game. Fourth, you can use your imagination and create a lot of things in Camelot Unchained that will be helpful for your realm, that will be useful in RVR, or frankly, can just be fun. You can do that alone, with the help of some of your friends, other members of your realm, as well as your NPC helper. Finally, and most importantly, in RVR, these structures, whether they're walls, whether they're forts, whether they're keeps, whether they're towers, whether they're even special items that will be talked about in another update that have been created with the help of crafters and magic users and potentially other, say, powerful forces. You can burn these items to the ground. You can try to salvage these items. You can simply capture these items and take control of them. And with the help of your builders, you can even deconstruct them back into most of their component parts, which you and your realm can then use themselves. So that's it for today's update. As always, I thank you, everyone, all the backers, all of our supporters on forums. You are great. Thanks for these presents, and as always, you guys, me up.